My name is Lauren Brown. I'm the Children and Family Minister at Brookwood Baptist Church in Shreveport, Louisiana. And so that's where I'm from. I've been in children's ministry for 19 years. I have a degree in elementary and special education and a master's in family and special needs ministry. So that's where my heart is special needs ministry, but also family discipleship. And so we are going to talk about what to expect when you're not expecting. So hopefully you're in the right class. This is what you're expecting. But a lot of times with Vacation Bible School, there is some craziness that happens every year that we're not expecting. So am I going to be able to answer everything? No, but my hope and desire is that you at least have a list of questions that might be like, oh, okay, I didn't know that. I'm going to take that back to my church and ask our director, our church, these questions. Or as we're in discussion together, maybe another church may have dealt with something or something happened. And then this year when VBS happens, you're going to be like, oh, I know what to do because I heard someone say that. And you're going to be more prepared for that. So before we jump in, I'm going to go ahead and pray, and then we'll get started. Dear Lord, thank you so much for these opportunities to train, to learn more. Lord, we know that VBS is important, and we just want to be the best prepared that we can be, Lord, so that you can use us to magnify your word, to be able to share the gospel, to reach into the lives of these kids in these homes, Lord, and so that lives are changed. So just teach us something new during this time. Help prepare us. Help get us ready for our Vacation Bible Schools coming up in our local churches. We ask all this in your holy and precious name. Amen. Amen. Okay, so we are going to play a game today. But before we play our game, who has a crazy story, something that wasn't expected that happened to you at your Vacation Bible School? Okay.
The whole audio sound system went out like 30 seconds into our day one. We started singing songs and then
Nothing. And there's nothing you can do then if you're in the middle of it.
We just stopped and we started praying, and then we heard somebody
Something clicked.
And plugged something back in, and it came on.
Yes, so the Lord provided. But you weren't expecting that, and you're like, what do we do? Okay. The Lord still works. Anything else?
We had the VBS director quit the day before it started.
Yeah, that's a little bit unexpected. But it still went on, and it was great, and it was wonderful. Okay. Anything else? Yes?
Our electricity went off in the whole place.
Were the kids there yet?
Yes.
Okay.
We were having problems.
Yeah.
And so what we did learn from that was don't decorate over windows.
Oh, good one. I wouldn't have thought about that. Yes. Don't touch the windows. Good job.
Last year, our electricity in our area was out for the week before VBS. So decorating was like you couldn't get in the building.
Yes.
So that was really a challenge.
That happened to us too, and we didn't get to decorate the day before VBS because it'd been out all weekend from a storm. But we realized that you can still do VBS with very little decorations, and it's just fine. Super sweet.
To get in. God just blessed.
We got in 2 hours before VBS started. But we were on the phone with SWEPCO trying to figure out when it would come back on. They kept promising us it would. Yeah. Yes. Okay, one more. Anything else?
Well, it was at least unexpected for me. I didn't realize until the day before that my church was hosting a VBS for a giant conference. So there was like a lot more kids than I expected.
So more kids, that's always one. Where you walk in the class and you think you're going to have 10 kids and you have 25. That's always a challenge. Well, today I'm hoping that we are going to walk through some of these unexpected challenges, get some ideas, and be better for it for our Vacation Bible Schools this year. We're going to do 2 teams. I always like a good competition, I'm a little competitive. So we'll have a winner and a loser. No, everybody's winners. No, we'll have this side and this side. So y'all can be the ladybugs right here. And then y'all can be the fireflies. Is that what you would call this right here? A firefly?
I think so.
Lightning bug? Something like that? Okay, so who wants to go first? The ladybugs or the fireflies? Ladybugs. Okay, you got to send somebody up because you're going to roll a dice. Inflatable cube. Okay, who's it going to be? Oh, we got one right here. Okay, you can just toss it and we'll see where it lands. Oh man. -4 points. Ladybugs, y'all are not doing good. It says, oh no, you have a biter and you don't know what to do. -4 points. Man. Okay. Not starting good, ladybugs. Okay, so a lot of times we have challenging behaviors in our classrooms, and we don't know what to do. And so when you think about biters, you would probably think that was like in a 4-year-old class, but this was in my 4th grade class. So my 4th grade leader brought a girl out who was biting her friends in her classroom. And so a lot of times we have unexpected behavior. I would love to tell you that I could sit here and give you every tool that you need to help the behavior in your class, but I cannot do that in the time frame that they gave me and go through everything else. But there are tips and tricks to help you with the behavior in your class. I'd say the first thing is to look at yourself and to make sure you're prepared as a teacher and you're more proactive than reactive. Some of that comes from just like intake forms and knowing the kids in your class. Do you have an all boys class? Do you have an all girls class? Just knowing your kids, knowing the age group that you're going to have will help with that. But there's still going to be behaviors that you're going to surprise you in your class. The best thing that I can say is the next class that I'm teaching is called Magnifying All Learners, and we're actually looking at behaviors and what to do when the kids present those behaviors. So if you're interested or you feel like your church does struggle with behavior in the classroom, if you'll come to that class, I'll talk more specifically on behaviors and how to, the tips and tricks to help that and get the desired behavior you want in your classroom. But just know the more that you can do to know your kids beforehand will help. And so I wish I had more answers for you right now because I know it's needed, but come to my next class and I'll give you all the answers. So that's the first thing is just what? A little teaser. Yeah, I wish I could do it all right now, but they don't give me long enough. But yes, it is. I know that challenging behavior in the class is hard, and there are ways that you can help do that. To that. Okay, so the next one is the Fireflies. Jared already volunteered, so he's going to be. It is Jared, right? Okay.
We get a plus.
Yes, +5. Fireflies are doing great. Okay, you quickly found your shelter-in-place room. Great job. Good job. +5. As y'all all know, I am really bad with time management, so if at 10 minutes, if you'll tell me like you got 10 more minutes, that would be great. Okay, so shelter in place. So this is for our safety and security. So when you are leading a class in Vacation Bible School, it's your responsibility to know how to keep your kids safe. And a lot of times our directors provide us with that information, but sometimes they don't. And just because they don't tell us doesn't mean it's not our responsibility to know. So some of the things that we need to know are just fire drill, weather alerts, and intruder. So those are things that your church should have set up or know how to tell you to do that. So if you have bad weather coming, like we've said, we've lost electricity, there's storms coming in, things are happening, you need to know where to shelter in place. So the thing is that like our children's ministry area, if you serve in our children's ministry, you know that. But the crazy thing about VBS is that we use the whole campus. So my children's ministry leaders aren't over in the adult wing or the student wing, and so they may not know the shelter-in-place rooms. We have them all, like if it is a shelter-in-place room, like a safe room to go during bad storm, it says shelter-in-place on the door. So like our church labels them so everybody knows what to look. And then also if you're in a room that you're not familiar with, there should be an exit route like for you to go if there's a fire drill. And if there's not, then you need to ask. So as a leader, as a teacher in your classroom, you should know how to get out. You should know what to do during a fire. You should know where to go if a storm comes. And so you just want to be able to ask those questions and know the answers. For intruder drill, it's the same thing. So if someone comes on campus during VBS that's not supposed to be there or poses a threat, what are you supposed to do? So you should be asking those questions. We don't do the drills during Vacation Bible School, like the practice drills, but during our training, we take we have our teachers go to their rooms and practice like knowing where their route should be. And on our doors, we have those intruder locks that you can flip over so that no one can get in and out, and we just teach them to turn out the light and get in a corner where they can't be seen. So that's like the suggestion would be if you have the kids and you're a teacher in that. Also, like where is the first aid kit? Everybody needs Band-Aids, right? And so the more you're prepared ahead of time, the more you're not like, oh no, we're out in wreck and We don't have Band-Aids. Some churches have the like fanny packs for the leaders where they have everything that they need with like Band-Aids and a snack and little things that class might need depending on the age. So that might be something you want to do. But just knowing who to call for help if there is an injury, a scratch, or something like that. Thinking about that ahead of time will be helpful. Also, missing child protocol. Like, that's like my biggest like fear. Like, I can just feel it right now. Someone asked me like what my favorite thing about Vacation Bible School is, and y'all are going to think I am terrible, and some of you may have already heard me say this, but my favorite part of VBS, when everybody is home with their parent, with the right place at the end of the night, every night. I know that's not very spiritual, but no, I do love VBS and the gospel being presented and lives changed. But there's just something about being responsible for so many kids and getting them home safe and sound every night at Vacation Bible School. But we do need missing child protocol. So if you find that a child is missing in your class, what are you supposed to do? So if you know ahead of time when that happens, it'll be a whole lot better than if you're trying to figure out what to do in that moment when you realize that Johnny is missing. Hopefully he's just under the table hiding from you and not actually out of your classroom, but you do need to know what to do and how to do that. We always tell our teachers to carry their rosters around with them just so they can always know if there's some kind of alert or evacuation, then they know who's with them, the number. We count all the time, 10, knowing all the time. So that roster helps. Then also one question you might want to ask as a leader is, can parents stay? Like, who's allowed to stay? So if you're in a preschool 4s class, parents dropping them off to your room, and that parent says, we don't leave our kid, and they act like they're trying to walk in, is that allowed at your church? Is it not allowed? Have you thought about how you're going to, handle that? Do you know what to say to that to that parent? So just think that through. That becomes more and more every year, parents wanting to stay. Our policy is they can't. And anybody that's serving in our area that's at our church facility during that time has been through our process, background check, and all of that. So you can't even be on campus without a name tag for us.
Couldn't there be a way you could present it to them in a nice way?
Yes.
Everyone that stays has to have,
yes.
you have to have
yeah, and
background check.
I think that's the thing, is that you as a leader need to have thought that through so you're prepared to in the nicest way.
Lets them know you can't stay here.
Yes. A lot of them don't like that answer, but
we're worried about is the other children.
Yes. It's safety for sure. But just know what your church's policy and procedure is. And then the last one that I would mention is just that we're all mandated reporters. And so during our prayer request time and our prayer time, things might come up. We just recently had one on a Sunday morning where a child said that their daddy was really mean to them, and sometimes he hits her. So then my teachers in that class, went through our procedure of calling me, and then we talked it through. But your director, your church, should have some kind of way to train you to do that. And we're mandated reporters, so we have to report things. And so just see and talk to your director about what that looks like, because a lot of times we can be surprised, unfortunately, during our prayer request time when things come up about their life. So just think about that as well. But the Fireflies did good. They were prepared, and they got 5 points. So Ladybugs, we got to do better. So who's next, Ladybugs? Anybody? Oh, over here, we got it. Okay. Let me get out of the way. Oh, do it again. That was the same question. Yes, y'all did so good. Plus 6 points. Your church had great intake forms and are prepared for a child with autism. Plus 6 points. So, good job. The thing I can say about this is that just like sometimes our behavior challenges, we have more and more kids with special needs in our classrooms. And so intake forms are very important. And so if you're a leader in your classroom, you are going to eventually get a roster. Hopefully your director is giving that to you a little bit beforehand. You're going to have walk-ups if you have open registration, and that's fine too. But the more you can know ahead of time, the better. And intake forms are really good to help us know ahead of time who's going to be in our class. I think if I could do anything, it would say be careful how we word our intake forms. Because the one thing that we have found, if you just simply say, does your child have special needs, or what is your child's diagnosis, a lot of parents are going to skip that or not be truthful with that or don't want you to know. And so you don't get the best information about the child in that way. But if we can word it less threatening or less, I don't know how to explain it, but if we can say something like, would your child benefit from a buddy during VBS? So a buddy is like one-on-one. Some parents will be like, yeah, my child is going to need that, but they're not going to write down that they have a special need. Does that make sense? So you can kind of ask, and then the other question that you can ask is there something challenging that your child is trying to overcome right now? So that might even be like potty training issues. So maybe you have a 5-year-old or a kindergartner and they were potty trained, but now they're having something going on. That's not necessarily a diagnosis or a special need, but because we asked that, there's like, oh, but they've been having some accidents lately or something to give us more information so we can be better prepared. Does that kind of make sense? You as a leader in a classroom might not have that much power over what the registration forms or intake forms look like, but if you can take it back to your church and suggest it, then maybe you can get some better information at your churches. Did I see your hand?
On our intake forms, we ask the question, what do we need to know about your child to help us give them the best experience? And we've actually had parents tell us, well, they have a special needs sibling, so they're really good to be a buddy to a special needs kid.
Yes.
We can get help from that.
Sometimes those questions help a lot more than us just saying, hey, is there a special need or check this box. And so we found the less threatening or maybe where they don't have to feel like it's such a bad thing. Unfortunately, a lot of our families that have kids with special needs feel like if they put that, then they're going to be called back and say, oh, we can't provide the care for your child, like you can't come. And so a lot of them don't tell us everything. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Our wording is, what do we need to know to help us give your child the best experience?
Yeah, so just think about taking that back. I don't know if at our church, our leaders don't have access to all the kids that registered beforehand. It has to do with like our registration team. So my teachers don't have a whole lot of say in how they communicate with the families beforehand. But if you take it back to your registration team or your children's minister or director, they may be able to add some of that verbiage in, and that will help you as a teacher, because the more information we can get ahead of time, the more we can pair our classroom up. Maybe we make that classroom a smaller classroom. Maybe we provide a buddy in that classroom. So there are ways that we can set up for success if we know what to expect. Okay, the Fireflies. Who wants to do it over here? Anybody? What time is this class to? Like what time? How long is it supposed to go? Okay. Oh, we already did that one. That's okay. Sorry, Chris. Try again. Nope.
Oh boy.
Oh, man. Just drop it. Let's see. I don't even know which one we are. Is it a plus or is it a minus?
Wait, hang on.
Oh, that's a good one. We haven't done that one yet. Yay, Chris! 3 points. It worked in all my other classes. Y'all are making it difficult. This classroom is twice as big as you thought, but no worries, because Chris planned ahead and he has extras, plus 3 points. Okay, so how many of you have ever been in a situation where you thought your classroom was going to be one size and it was a whole lot larger? Nobody? Some? Okay, good. Yes. When we don't have, we have open registration. So we do have pre-registration, which I hope you're doing pre-registration because at least you can get a good idea of what to expect. But we also have walk-up, open registration where they can walk up that day, and you could have 100 kids, show up that day. So there's no way to really know about your class size. But the more you can be prepared, the better for your class size. So if your leader says, oh, you're probably only going to have 15, then you might want to plan for 2025. So if you can print more copies, provide more things, as long as your leader allows the budget for that, then that's always going to set you up for a success if your classroom is bigger than you thought. Planning ahead as far as like knowing the class roster, maybe if your VBS starts on Monday, asking your leader on Sunday, hey, can you give me who's already? Some directors don't pass that out, but if you ask, they might. And so you can already kind of get a heads up and you realize, oh, I'm already have 5 more than I thought. I need to make more copies or do more things. You can ask how many there was last year. So if you have first grade this year, you can say how many kindergartners were last year and kind of help ask those questions to help you plan for the numbers. One thing I like to encourage our leaders to, I hear a lot of stories about other churches at times where there's not a lot of pre-planning and then you feel like you just get thrown into a classroom with 30 kids, you're not prepared, you don't have the right stuff. So I encourage my leaders to know their limit as well. So it's okay for you when you start feeling uncomfortable and not safe and the environment is not safe, it's okay for you to speak up to your director. Like, don't feel like you can't say anything if you're the only one in a classroom with 30 kids and you're already like, I'm not supposed to be in here by myself, but she didn't give me a co-teacher and I find myself in a room with 30 kids by myself. So I think it's okay to know your limit and to speak up to that as well. So I always encourage mine to do that. But I also love for leaders to come to me with a solution instead of a problem. So that's always like my favorite people. So if you feel like you're going into a situation where you've heard in the past that maybe your director, might do this or might not give you the support that you need, I would encourage you to go find your co-teacher yourself and say, hey, I don't want to get stuck in this class with 30 kids and not have someone helping me. So I'm going to go get my friend or ask my Bible study group or something like that to say, hey, would you lead with me this year? And then at least there's 2 of you that are ready and prepared, even if your class size is too big. But you have to do it early enough to go through the process because there's still the screening, still the background check. So you can't just decide the day before that you want to bring someone in with you if their background checks haven't been run. Does that make sense? So I think I always encourage that. If I thought that I was going to be somewhere, I would want to bring someone along with me that I trusted and knew we would work well together. So I always encourage that as well. Sometimes it's not the director's or the church's fault. We just have an influx of kids on night 1, and night 1 is crazy. So don't always blame the director. Maybe the director is working really hard to divide up that class to find another room because they know that class size is too big. So what can you do in the meantime? Smaller groups within your large group is helpful. So if you have too many kids in your class and there's nothing that you can do about it in that moment, having like a butterfly group that always comes in and goes and sits straight here in this little corner. And then the ladybugs come over here and go sit in this corner. So you always want to kind of go to a smaller group, even if there's not an adult over that group. Smaller groups are easier to manage, and routine is good. So if they know they're coming in and they're always sitting in that area, and you have an activity like something going on, they're working together, that will help you manage a large group if you don't have a choice. Does that make sense? Okay, next. Who is the other? Who is it? It's y'all's turn. Okay, ladybugs. Yes, you did. Well, you didn't do good, but we haven't done this one yet. So I got excited. It's not a good one, but we haven't done it. The class before you is not done in crafts. We must wait 5 more minutes with nothing to do, -3. So how many of you have found that situation where you've gotten somewhere early and your kids are just standing and waiting? So that happens. Yes, in the back. So there are a few things that we can do. So that is something that's not expected. Like, we didn't know we were going to show up to crafts and they're all still working on their craft and now we have nothing to do while we wait. But there are some things that we can do to be ready for that. I think the first thing we can do is realize that it's an opportunity to continue the lesson, an opportunity to memorize the verse for the week, an opportunity to continue on. So it's not just free time that should be wasted. It's an opportunity to continue to teach. One thing is, like, our leaders carry around clipboards with any information like the schedule and all these things on there and their roster. But this year I was thinking about giving them like an I Spy. This is with all the VBS stickers, and they can just put it on their clipboard, and if they're waiting for the bathroom, if they're waiting for crafts or whatever, then you just hold it up. Can I use 2 as an example? Okay, and I'm going to say like something, and the first one to find it wins. Okay, so gecko. So she would win. And then they go back and get in line and 2 more comes up. So you can do like an I Spy. They all like it, and it's just something fun that you can do, and you can always tie it into the lesson, because a lot of times these stickers relate to something that's going on in the lesson. Memory verse is good, like having them practice the memory verse together. Depending on if you're waiting for missions or waiting to go in a large group, maybe you're waiting on Bible study. If they need to sit down and focus for a period of time, using that time for movement is really good to help regulate their bodies to go in and focus. So if you're making them stand on the wall, still, be quiet, finger over their mouth for a few minutes while they're about to have to go in and focus, like that's taking all their focus energy that they're having to stand right there and wait and be quiet in the hall. So if we can take them just around the corner or walk down the hall and walk back, that will help regulate their bodies, let them move around so they can go in and focus to where they're about to go. You can do animal walks, you can do follow the leader, all these things where they're having to do motion and movement while they're going. And so that could be an easy, you have all these buzz like a bee, fly like a butterfly, like all these things you can do with animals as you're walking them until it's time. So that could be a good option as well. Okay. I do have one more. Walking the schedule. So if you get your schedule and you know what classroom you're in ahead of time, not the day of. The day of would help, but if you could do it the week before, go to your classroom, then you can walk to crafts, you can walk to recreation, you can walk to worship rally, and you can see how long it takes, because sometimes it's not the issue of them being 5 minutes over, it's you being 5 minutes earlier because you wrapped up your room 5 minutes, but then crafts is 2 doors down. So it doesn't take you 5 minutes to walk to crafts. But it could take you 5 minutes to walk to crafts if crafts is all the way across campus. So it just depends. So you need to know your schedule. You need to have walked it. And it's a really good opportunity to prayer walk at the same time. So combine it. Say walk your schedule, know where you're supposed to go, how long it takes you to go there, and then pray for the kids that are going to be walking those routes with you. So I think that's good. Okay, I think we have one more. Okay, one more over here, Fireflies. Let's see who's going to win. Anybody want to toss it? Or do we just want to pick it? Let's see. I don't even know which one it is. Oh, okay. Yeah, this is not a fun one. I don't like this one, and it is minus points, so I apologize for that. Okay, this one says, things are just not going well, and your director is no help, so you suffer through it. Minus 2 points. So I hope your directors are all awesome and you don't have to suffer through anything. But there are times where some of our churches do have a hard time getting what they need from their directors, getting all the stuff together. And so it can be challenging. And I just encourage you to do the best you can. Like to try to be proactive, to try to ask questions, to be helpful. So if you realize that your director is struggling with something and you're asking for something and it's not happening, but it's something that you can help with, that director may be overwhelmed, not even knowing what's going on, but you could step in and help and offer to do things, offer to be helpful with that, because sometimes it's just really hard, but planning ahead would help. Sometimes it's the issue of maybe the director isn't your point person, but that's who you keep going to, but they're not the ones that are going to be getting you your stuff. So you need to know who your point person is. There might be someone else other than the director that's over the preschool area, or that's over the 5th and 6th grade VBX, and that's the person you're supposed to go to. Because sometimes if people come to me, they know that it's better for them to go to the other people because they're going to get it done quicker, because I have so many other things that I'm thinking about that it'll take me longer to get them the information than if they would go to the team leads over them. Now, they're welcome to come to me anytime. I'm just a little bit slower getting back to them because I have all these other things that I'm trying to do. But my team leads can get them stuff quicker if that's who they're supposed to go to. So just make sure you're going to the right person to get that stuff quickly. Do everything in advance if you can. Sometimes when people come up to me, if they're coming up to me 5 minutes before worship rally is starting and wanting me to make copies, they're probably not going to get the best response from me, because that should have been done like 2 weeks ago kind of thing. And I'm not going to be ugly, but it may be perceived as me being very helpful, but I'm about to go my team's about to go on stage in 5 minutes, so that's not the right time to ask. So just make sure that you're being proactive, asking ahead of time, asking the right person, and then also maybe just questioning, like, do we have a training? When is this training going to happen? Because maybe that information is coming, but you're just asking it a month out, and maybe if you just hold off for a week, all that information is coming to you at a training. If there's no training, maybe ask if you can have one. Sometimes our directors just might need a little extra help. So that's the best advice that I can give you for that. The last thing I would like to do is just kind of open it up for questions. If there's something that you have a question about specifically to your church that might help the group as a whole, if there is something that you can say that maybe I can help walk through unexpectedly. Is there anything that you would like to bring up or have questions, concerns about at your church? Yeah.
I'd like to bring up, sometimes, we got to remember why we're there.
Mm-hmm.
And you just mentioned the situation.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we got to focus on the children
Mm-hmm.
and not focus on ourselves.
Yes.
What can we do to make sure that, no, we don't have what we need at this moment, but what can we do to help the kids still enjoy what's going on without having the things that we think we need to have?
Yes, that is very true. I do think we do need to remember that we're here to share the gospel, and we're here to love on these kids, and some of these kids are community kids who don't get that love and attention all the time, but sometimes they're the ones maybe that have some behavior challenges, but we're here to love them. And I think that sometimes these unexpected things happen, like no electricity or a storm come through, so we're huddled in shelter rooms for 30 minutes before we go back to our classes. Whatever is happening, sometimes those are the sweetest moments that we have. And they're the most favorite memories that we have because it wasn't expected, and we saw God work in a way that we weren't expecting it to be. So I think that's just how I wanted, to leave this class, is that we're not going to be able to plan for everything, but hopefully these list of questions and these things may get you start thinking like, oh, as a leader, I don't know how to handle this in my classroom, so you can take it back to your director. So if I did that, great. That was my job for today, my goal for today. But also just encourage you that some of our most unexpected moments are the sweetest moments that we can have. And God can use us all the time, anytime. And so I'm thankful that you've chosen to be a part of that you've been a leader in your church and on your team. And so I am thankful for you. This is my email address if you need anything. I love continuing the conversation. So it's Lauren@brookwoodbaptist.com. I'm at Brookwood Baptist in Shreveport, Louisiana. Reach out, email me if you need my notes or if you have any specific questions. Just let me know. And I think y'all are free to go to your next class. So I'll be standing up here if you have any questions. Thank you.